Hi there. I'm Sandra Pickard, and had I not had a really bad case of shingles, which I wish I didn't, I would be there with you at your retreat. And I really regret that I'm not. I saw your itinerary and all the fun things you're going to do, and it sounds like it'd be a lot of fun. But I had wanted to come down and teach you about vision boards. And even though this is second best, this falls within my creative gifting, or within my gifting, because I'm a creative thinker. And when I knew I couldn't come, this is plan B. There's always a plan B. Anyway, I'm really excited to teach you about this today. It's just a little teaching. Marcy will follow up with some information I've sent her on this. But vision boards are such a fun thing to do, and I like to do them because people forget to dream, or they've never been taught to dream, or they don't think things are possible. And creating a vision board is just tapping into what God has put in your heart, your gifts, your talents, your personality, and out of that comes a beautiful and bright future. And what you're going to do today, the vision board that you're going to do today, won't look anything like the vision board you do when you're my age. And aren't you glad? I'm old, you're not. But finding representations, pictorial representations of the things that are in your heart activates your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind is the powerhouse. It's the one that gets you in trouble too. But it thinks through the five senses, and it thinks in pictures. It's not so much about words. Words are part of the conscious mind, when the conscious mind only represents 5% of your brain power. And it's where no resides. It's the one that will say, no, you can't do that. No, you're not smart enough. No, you're going to fail. You know, it's the one that comes up with all the excuses of why you shouldn't do something. But when you can create a compelling picture in the subconscious mind with pictures and images, things that evoke strong positive emotions, then you are moving toward the vision that God put in your heart a long, long time ago. I go back to when I was probably your age, maybe a little older. And the one thing that I knew is that one of these days I was going to have a bookstore. And it was not just going to be a bookstore, it was going to be a bookstore that motivated people to be more than what they thought possible, which I think is so ironic, because when I look at things that I do today, that's so in keeping with that original vision that I had. I don't have a bookstore, but my heart's desire is that I would help people tap into who God created them to be and step into the future He wants for them, because it's amazing. You are amazing. I want to give you some statistics, because I just think these are so amazing. Did you know that there are 7.5 billion people on this earth? That's a lot. And scientists say that the statistical probability of another you somewhere on this earth is in the neighborhood of 1 trillion to 1. That is an amazing number. It takes 1,000 billion to make 1 trillion. So it would take 133 additional planet Earths, populated as they are today, with 7.5 billion people, to come up with one more you. That's pretty amazing. Your DNA is 1 in 1 trillion, and it has the blueprint for your life. It contains your gifts, your talents, your physical abilities, your height, your eye color, your hair color, and all the amazing, and I really do mean amazing, things that are actually possible for you. If you don't explore what those things are, it's not just you that loses out. It is the world, because there is not another you in this world. And when you don't show up, the world loses. So embrace the fact that you matter, that your life matters, that you count for something, and it behooves you to explore who that is and what God called you to do. Now, a vision board, again, I touched lightly on it, is just a collage of words and pictures that represent your goals of your future. And some of it is not necessarily all that. It's not necessarily spiritual. It's not necessarily something that Marcy would approve of. Don't tell her I said that. Oh, wait, see, Marcy's listening to this, so we'll just erase that. But some of the things may seem silly to other people. It doesn't make any difference. There's an exercise that you're going to do called 50 Things, and you'll do that with a partner. You guys will covey up and do that. But out of doing 50 things, two things is going to happen. You're going to find out what your values are, because your vision board, to be a good vision board, has to incorporate your values, who God created you to be, and the things that are really important to you. You know, it could be relationship, it could be education, it could be honesty. Some people can't be in relationships unless everybody is 100% honest, or at least they think they're being 100% honest. But the values are the things that drive us forward with the gifts and talents that God put in us to the destination that He had in mind. So learning what your values are is really important. Well, in the exercise 50 Things, you will learn that, but you will also come up with 50 things that you have in your heart that you think you want. And it doesn't make any difference what they are, as long as they're not naughty. You know, so keep it clean. But the 50 things represent the things that you want to have. You know, it could be a Lamborghini. Doesn't light me up, but for some people it does. It could be that you want to go to Paris. You want to spend Christmas in Paris. It could be that you want to serve next Christmas in a homeless shelter. That you want to go to Africa on a mission trip. Doesn't make any difference what it is. They're all there for a reason. I worked with some gentlemen at a treatment center on creating a vision board, and I was walking around the room talking to them about the things that they had on their list of 50 things, and one gentleman had a gas stove. And it's just like, well, that's kind of boring. But I asked him, I said, why do you have this? What does it mean to you? And he said, cooking. And I said, well, what does cooking mean to you? And he said, kitchen, center of the universe. And I said, well, why is that important to you? And he said, friends and family. Well, guess what his number one value is? It's family. You know, it's relationships. So that gas stove, when you dig down below, was indicative of a heart issue. He wanted to have a place where he could draw his friends and family to and cook dinner and just have a wonderful time. So, you know, all the things that come up on your 50 things, or most of the things, not everything. Some of it will be silly. I'll tell you one of my silly things here in a minute. But all those things are part of who you are. God put them in you. And don't discount them, as long as they're not naughty. But don't discount them, and put them on there and see what God's going to do with them. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh, I just clapped my hands and Rick's going to get me. He doesn't like it when I make noise. The thing about pictures is, Rick, did I talk about the subconscious mind? Okay, good. The thing about pictures is that pictures are the language of the subconscious mind. That and the things that come from the other four emotions, because we have not emotions, senses. But anyway, that's where the subconscious mind is the powerhouse. 95% of all the activity between our ears occurs in the subconscious mind, and it is the driving force to change, to our future, to all that. Our intellect is only 5%. It's only the top 5% in the conscious mind, and that's where no resides. You know, it's no, you can't do this. No, you're not smart enough. You're not good enough. No, you don't have what it takes. So give it up. So we want to jump over the conscious mind, which is the gatekeeper, and we want to go straight to the subconscious mind, which is where the powerhouse for change is. And we're going to do that with pictures. So all the things that come up on 50 things, we're going to look for pictures that represent those things so that we can put them on it. Because when we create that visual picture of what we want our future to look like, then the subconscious mind goes to work on trying to create it, on creating opportunities for, you know, orchestrating events. And it's also the way God motivates us to move forward too. He also uses words. I'm not going to put limits on him, but the subconscious mind is where all the action is. So we really want to make friends with that and incorporate that in what we're doing. I brought some things with you. Was planning on doing my vision board all over again when I was going to be with you all. And I'm not with you, so I'm going to show you some of the things that are on my vision board and some of the things that represent me and some of the things that represent my desires. This picture is of the beach at Holbox, Mexico, where I will be in March of 2019. So when March rolls around, you can think fondly of Sandra laying on a beach somewhere. But this is such a beautiful place, and it's just, this is something that I'm drawn to. I'm going with my daughter. Do what, Rick? Okay. This is something I'm drawn to. I get to go with my daughter, and of course, anytime I get to go with my daughter, I'm a happy camper. But anyway, so this is on there, and it keeps me forward focused, because for me to go on this trip, there are certain things that I have to do now. So even though this is not my to-do list or my goal list, this keeps me moving forward. Find your passion. This is just one of the little phrases. I am passionate about helping others find their passion. I hope I'm helping you do that today. This I love. This is, I can't remember. Do I have it right?
Oh, no, you got it right.
Okay. This represents the light bulb moment, okay? This says there's no single recipe for success. There's more than one way to skin a cat, ladies. And one of my gifts is I am a creative thinker. I'm an out-of-the-box thinker, which is why we're making a video today instead of me being there. Anyway, so these are just reminders of who I am. You know, it's not that I need to be reminded, but it's just fun to look at that, and when I'm stuck, to know that there is another way. This is my little house filled with light. This is something I have on my vision board. This is something I want very much, and I want a little house. I don't want a big house, I want a little house, and I want it to be filled with light, and I want 2 pots of purple flowers sitting on my front porch. I'm very specific on my little house. But it keeps me dreaming, moving, and looking. So one of these days, I will have to invite you all to Edmond, Oklahoma for a housewarming so that you can experience my little house filled with light. This is something very near and dear to me. These are my 2 children, back in the day when they actually got along. And there is probably nothing on my vision board that is more important to me than this, because their relationship is broken. And my heart's desire is that it would be restored. So I keep that on there and I work toward that. Ah. What is this, you might say? TED Talk. Somewhere in the wildest imagination I could possibly have, I decided that one of these days I was going to step on the stage of TED and deliver a talk. I was going to be a TED Talk presenter. And if you don't know what TED is, Google it. There are probably 1,000 videos on TED Talks, and you want to grow and be inspired, this is a great way to do it. And I'll tell you a story real quick. I got to go to TED this last fall, or this last summer, and I got to see the youngest TED presenter ever. She was 14 years old, and she had created a device that measured lead in the water that cost about $20 to produce. Anybody could have one at their home, so that the people that had it would never be exposed to harmful products or harmful minerals in their, I don't know if it's mineral or not, but things like lead in their water supply. She had, probably when she was 12, she had watched the news and saw a special on, where was it, Rick? The lead in the water? Michigan. Anyway, where all the kids were struggling with health issues because of the high volume of lead in the water, and she thought, oh, these kids are my age. Somebody ought to do something. And she thought at that moment, I could do something. Well, what is a 12-year-old? I mean, how can a 12-year-old help on that? Well, she had been gifted in sciences, and she came up with this device, and it is so stunningly profound that she is backed by Denver Water, which is huge. So she came up with something and was able to step out onto that stage and present her idea to the world. She was 14. You know, you're probably a little older than that, so, you know, don't say I'm too young, I'm too old, I'm too fat, I'm too skinny. Just know that if God gives you an idea, you can do it. The best thing that I have got, well, the second best thing, my kids are my best thing, but the second best thing, this was on my vision board last year. It will forever be on my vision board, and it is love to give and a goat. I know it's like really a strange combination. I did the exercise 50 things, which you all are going to be doing, and I did it with a group of women that meet at my house every Thursday night. And we were rocking along asking ourselves, what do you want, what do you want? And it was toward the end of mine, and I already had a vision board, okay? But I was toward the end of mine, and my friend Leslie says, what do you want? I said, a goat. And I went, a goat? For Pete's sake, I live up in Oklahoma. I live in Chimney Hills, where we have a very strict homeowners association. And I said, I can't have a goat. What is up with the goat? Well, the girls that were meeting at my house thought this was like the greatest thing ever. And they found me a picture of a goat. See? Let me see if I can get it back up here. My little goat. So I had no choice but to cut this goat out. And put it on my vision board. So I cut it out, and I go in there, and I'm looking at my vision board, and there is only one real space for that goat to go, and it's under the banner, Love to Give. I love to give. That's one of my gifts. I love to give. Anyway, so I put the goat under the banner, Love to Give, and I'm sitting there looking at it, and I thought, what is this about, Lord? I don't get this. And I got my answer. Years ago, we had a person on staff at the ministry I work for that had another ministry in Malawi, Africa. And her ministry is feeding orphans, body, soul, spirit, feeding orphans. And she was in town raising money. And I asked her what she was in town raising money for, and she said chickens and goats. And I thought, well, that sounds like something pretty interesting. I said, well, why are you doing that? And she said, well, we're trying to increase the diet. She said, beans and rice gets a little old. She said, we're trying to add variety, and we're trying to add protein. And I said, well, how much does a chicken and a goat cost? And she told me. So I said, I want to buy some. So I bought everybody chickens and goats for their birthday and Christmas and all that. My daughter thought that was the single best present she had ever received. She loved that. But anyway, I had supported the ministry for a while, and things kind of dropped off, and I forgot about Juaneta's ministry, Great Commission missions, and chickens and goats. So all of a sudden I knew that was what it was about. So I sat down and I wrote a check and I sent it off. Well, I got a call the next day, and it was my daughter. And she said, Mom, she said, I've sold my house, and she said, I want to tithe on the proceeds. I said, great. She said, I want it to go overseas. I said, great. She said, do you have any suggestions? And I said, well, as a matter of fact, I do. Anyway, so I told her about it. So she was so excited because she loved that gift. So she sits down, she writes a check, and within probably 2 weeks, we both got the single most precious note I've ever received. And it was from Juaneta, and she was telling the story that when our checks came, she was on the verge of picking up the phone and telling the local office to send whatever money they had left to Malawi, because they were busted. They didn't have the money to go on, and if they had a little bit of money, they wanted to get it over there. And here comes our money. Obviously, I'm still a monthly supporter, but the point is, it's real easy to look at 50 things and say that's just a hokey little exercise. But God uses everything. He used an exercise called 50 Things and a goat to feed kids in Africa. So don't discount what comes up on your list. It could be a gas stove, it could be a goat, it could be anything. But you were created for greatness. You matter. You are God's poema. Everything you do counts. Even what you perceive to be your mistakes, God is going to use. And He will use it in creating a vision that changes not only your life, but the lives of others. And before I leave, I want you all to meet somebody. Rick, come around here. I want you to come. One of the things you have to know is that there is no vision that we have that does not involve other people. We cannot do it alone. So Rick made this possible, so give him a round of applause, because you would not be watching this. You would have nobody to be mad at over having to do a vision board were it not for him. So actually it's all his fault. Ladies, thank you so much. I want pictures. When you finish your vision board, send me pictures, and I sure wish I could have been there with you. Bye-bye.